Hi, everybody. Welcome to the new normal. We're finding our new normal around here. Looks like we have been terminated again. So, not sure what they're so afraid of that we're sharing this information, but we're going to keep sharing this information and we're counting on you, the community, to help us get it out there. So, today is Monday, and I've got SL369 and Maya from Shining Bull Astrology here to talk to you about a new project. Well, I don't know how new it is actually, but we also have a community member from the project, the XYO Foundation, Andrew, and he's here to tell us all about it. And then we're going to hear what this dynamic duo thinks of this project. So wherever you're seeing this, please give us a like and a share. Come find us on some of the decentralized platforms like Odyssey, Library. We're working on streaming on Theta and Twitch. So you guys find us there, and we'll be all over BitChute as well. I'm trying to think, pill.net, Foxhole we're working on too. So we're not going to give up. We're going to get this information out there. So we will be right back with Maya and SL369. Hi, welcome to the new normal, you guys. We're excited to have the dynamic duo, Maya and SL369 here today. We're going to talk about a project. And Maya, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you fine.
Okay, great. We had a little bit of a hiccup, tried to record this a second ago, but we're going to try again. We're going to get this information out. So I really appreciate the work that you did in bringing us information on Matic and the progress that you're having, that we're seeing with that, and that we're all benefiting from. And just is really encouraging you talking about how that's a long-term hold, or should be in your own case. That's what you're doing. We want to tell everybody this is for educational and entertainment purposes, not financial advice. So to really do your own due diligence and check into these projects and think about what's best for you and with your plan of attack. So Maya, I'm sorry, SL, can you tell us how you receive these price predictions and kind of your history and some of your track record with that as well?
Oh, yes, sure. So I receive informations. I receive like visions via my third eye during the day or else in my sleep. It come in the form of flash because it come really fast, so I call them flash. Whenever they have information about any of the cryptocurrency, they give to me. If they don't catch me during the day, then they come into my sleep at night and provide me a lot of information. When I sleep, I ask them questions as well. I communicate with them. My mind talk to them. If they provide me something I don't understand, I ask them. So I have like full conversation with them while I'm sleeping. So my track record has been decent. I think last year in 2019 I have like 84% accuracy, and then last year I have a lot of accurate predictions, but I didn't like tally up the percentage. This year I have like over 500 predictions and roughly 100, almost like approaching 200 accurate predictions. And then there are a lot of predictions that are long term.
Yeah.
So it hasn't come to pass. So that's how I have been doing.
Awesome. Well, I love hearing that. And we've found some really interesting projects by joining your Patreon and then you introducing us to your Discord group. It's very organized and there's a lot of information on there, and your community is really active. So I'll be sharing all of those links as well, so people can jump on and join your Patreon to get that direct access to you. So then you and Maya from Shining Bull Astrology have teamed up. Maya, thank you for joining us again.
Hi, thank you. Also,
I
thank
just
you.
love how you guys work together and just really bring such a clear picture and with these price predictions. So what's your history on using Vedic astrology for cryptocurrency, and kind of how that got started, and what you used to find the dates as well? Because people were asking those questions about, well, how does a coin have a date, or a project have a date, a birth date?
Yeah, so I use different methods. Sometimes I'll look at the Genesis block, sometimes, or a lot of times I'll look at the ICO date. Sometimes I look at when the moment that the ICO opened. Sometimes I look at when the tokens were released. Very rarely I will use the white paper or some other interesting event, because see, basically all of these moments are important to the entity. So what you're doing is creating a chart that then the subsequent transits you're looking at them in relation to that chart. So for example, whether if I use the ICO, but that coin already had a Genesis block, that ICO is still a birth in the sense of a moment for that entity. Just like in our lives, it can work for anything really, because every an initiative has a birth. So there are times though that I'll look at two charts for the same coin at the same time. Not always, but sometimes I do that, and actually it's very interesting to do that. Like if I have the ICO date and the Genesis block date or other combinations, that's very interesting. But the point is that also verifying that chart works, so when I have the chart, I need to kind of verify that it works by looking at what was happening with the price. And it's always very obvious if that chart works, because you see for cryptos or stocks that the price is very much, it makes sense with the chart, what the transits were, or ideally ideally also what the dasha sequences are. If I have all that info, if I have the birth time and the birthplace I often get if I know where that dev team was located, and if it's clear that it would have been initiated there. But the point is, if I have the time and the place also, then I can use the greatest tool of this type of astrology, Vedic astrology, which is the dasha sequences. So I can do it anyway, but that's a great tool to have.
Yeah, and the two of you coming together is just magic, because like you said, you don't really see prices, but you see dates. And then SL sees more of the prices, but her dates are softer, I guess, or and so then you guys can really match up. It's been just phenomenal, the information that you guys have given just in the short while I've known about you, just for a few months now, and we've really benefited from it as well. So we wanted to talk about bring on another project that you guys saw and coordinated with. And we have Andy here with, he's a community member with the XYO Foundation. Andy, thanks so much for joining us. I appreciate you being patient with us today.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so can you give us a little background and tell us about the XYO Foundation?
Yeah, the parent company was started back in 2012, and their idea was GPS tracking devices when they started back in 2012.
Okay.
Then somewhere in 2017, I believe they started to see more. What if they could outsmart or outdo GPS, at least for the general populace? So they thought of the idea of geospatial and geolocation, data points, the longitude and latitude of where a certain item is at a certain point in time. And that's where they based the whole XYO, X and Y being the axis points.
Okay. Yeah.
And the O being oracle. So the basic idea was to create this network of geolocation data points, and a user would query the oracle, the oracle, to verify location. So if you ordered a package, GPS could tell you it arrived at your house at some point in time, maybe within a certain diameter of the item, say 5 meters or 10 meters or whatever. But XYO and the foundation, their thought was, let's do better than that. So with the geolocation data, they could pinpoint down to the second when that package actually made it to your house and where it is located, and write smart contracts that would issue a payment to the vendor when that item made it inside of your house, not just on your porch like the commercial delivery services do. Then porch pirates could run off with your package that you already paid for. So
wow, that really puts a lot of responsibility on back on the shipper or the creator of the product. That's really, I think that a lot of consumers would really like something like that. Is there is there a physical device associated with this project that would have to go on or in the package?
Well, they started out with these XY Find Its, they call them Sentinels, and they were like little GPS tracking tags. Now, I don't know if that was going to be the end item to go in all these packages, but that was the starting point of that. And they already had them because that was from the XY, the parent company. That was their GPS tracking devices from the get-go. So it was super easy for them to take that and essentially turn it into these geolocation data collecting devices.
It's
However,
really interesting. Yeah. I'm sorry, go
taken
ahead.
it to a different turn because when they came out with their ICO, that was basically the start of the crypto winter. And many projects that were just founded didn't survive crypto winter. And that is where XYO Foundation was birthed out of. They had to reimagine themselves to survive. So they went from a for-profit to a non-profit company, which is the XYO Foundation.
Interesting. So is it a decentralized project? Is that why the foundation is separate? I know I'm really involved with the Litecoin fam, and there's a foundation that's like the marketing side of it, or but then there's the actual coin or project that's completely separate. Are they? Is it still together, or is it a decentralized project?
I think they are kind of modifying or making a hybrid, if that makes any sense.
Sure.
Because they want to have the data to be decentralized, but I think they had to centralize a part of it to survive the crypto winter. So I'm not really sure where they fall on both sides of that right now.
Yeah. And I could see them really making it through, unfortunately, for the crypto winter coinciding with what's going on in the world. But so many people are moving to work from home. We're seeing an increase in home shipping and all this. So that may have benefited them. Is this project active and working in some markets?
As far as being actually used,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't speak to that because I really don't know.
Okay, if they've launched. So that'll be exciting. Maybe that's something that Maya and SL can help us with. So SL, what are you seeing for the XYO project? What have some of your flashes been? What do you think of this project? Did I lose her? Let's jump over and let Shining Bull do her interpretations first. Then, Shining Bull, what are you seeing with this project? What do you think about this project? Was it something you found, or was it something that SL brought to you?
This is something I knew about because of SL. And I didn't look into it for a long time. And I think I only looked into it because we noticed it was shooting up. The price was shooting up so fine. Like, actually, I got their app, but then I realized that they give you rewards, but it's not actually that coin. So I thought maybe I should buy this coin, and then we saw it was shooting up. So I thought, well, for myself, I want to look at the chart to know if I should buy it. Actually, it was actually for myself primarily that I looked at it, and so then I saw. Can SL hear us? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes,
cool.
she's-
Okay, so should I go ahead with what I saw, or
What do you think would be best? Would it be best to do
or we
SL
can go back and forth
prices
also?
first? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we can go back and forth. Like I can say a first thing and then like that. That way they have a more broader kind of. So when I just first looked into it, it had already started shooting up. So I noticed that what I saw was the price started shooting up when the sun entered Pisces. This is in Vedic astrology, which uses what many refer to as the sidereal ephemeris. Okay, so if you know Western astrology, it won't make sense because in Western it hadn't entered Pisces, but in Vedic it had entered Pisces, which are the actual positions in the sky that we can observe astronomically. So the sun had just entered Pisces, and at the same moment, Venus was trining XYO's natal Mars and Jupiter. This was about March 13th, I believe. This is when I'm saying the price started zooming up. And I just want to mention that, so the thing is that natal Mars and Jupiter is now going to be trined by Jupiter in transit. Not right away, because they're later on in the sign of Libra. But now Jupiter has moved into Aquarius, and more like beginning in the winter of this year, Jupiter will be first enter the sign, and then a few months later, like March and April, will be in a much more significant trine to those two planets. Those two planets are in XYO's 11th house of gains. So the thing is that there is a possibility. Well, that's the first part. I can say much more, but should we?
Yeah, let's see what SL thinks
Yeah.
of this and kind of what her first flashes were. And I know she does get some, where it's like more immediate information versus if she sees something long term. So SL, are you able to jump on and join us and give us some information on what your flashes were or what the messages were that you were getting for XYO?
Yes. So I did a reading for XYO projects on Friday, March 19, which is like 6 days after XYO have little spike. Some members in my Discord asked me about XYO, so I look at it. I did a reading, and then the first price that they told me, normally I only get like one pricing per night for one cryptocurrency. It's kind of interesting that they told me 3 different prices. So they said it will go to $3 and then $12 and $18. None of this price is an all-time high. So when I look at the project, I didn't know the potential, but they gave me some information like that. So they give me on 19, and then the next day they came back. They go into my sleep again. They say, hey, for the $18, I think is like long term, and then they return and gave me something, I think shorter term, medium term prediction. They gave me 27 cents. Then 2 weeks later, they gave me an even shorter terms, which means I'll come to pass in 2 days or 3 days. So they said that whatever the price XYO is right now, at that time, it was like April 1st they gave to me. XYO was at 0.003345, which is like under a penny. they said that XYO will go to 0.0076, so almost double. And that comes back like in 2 days.
Wow.
Yeah, so they gave me like short term that will happen in 2 days, and then they said that wait for it to go to 27 cents, and then the longer term is $18. $3, $12, $18. So that's what they gave to me so far as of like $18. And then I was really shocked. A few days ago, one of my Discord members, she was sleeping, but she got woken up by a spirit guide at 3 in the morning. And then they gave her a vision where this XYO project will go to $120 in the future. I like, that's huge.
Wow. Yeah.
That's a nice surprise.
So how does that tie in, Maya, how does that tie in with what you were seeing for the project as far as timing with, SL found that, or that 2-day price prediction came to pass quickly. And then we have these short-term visions and the long-term. What are you seeing with those two tying together? How does that tie together for the two of you? Or maybe you guys would be better to have that conversation with each other and kind of where you're seeing different points together.
So I can tell you first the short term and then the long term. Like, just to mention, like, short term, I see that since this price zoom began when Sun entered Pisces, I see that it is possible that there's some kind of dip or lull once Sun enters Aries on the 13th of April. But the thing is that by this point, Jupiter is already in Aquarius. Like I said, that means Jupiter's trining their 11th house. So if there's a dip or a lull, I don't think that it's like gonna drop. So then that there might be some kind of dip, but then I think further gains can be set off quite soon after that on the 24th or 25th of April, because at that point Venus will be opposing. Venus will have entered Aries, and Venus will be opposing that natal Mars and Jupiter that's very special in their 11th house. And then it is possible that on May 4th, I'm just giving some short-term things, so then sure, I can tell you the long-term. But on May 4th, or maybe as soon as the 1st of May, that weekend, that's a weekend, it's possible the price starts declining once Venus enters Taurus, because then I notice Venus position in relation to natal Venus, and also now no longer in opposition to that Mars and Jupiter can make the price start declining. But so basically what I know is it can gain quite up to the beginning of May at the least, right? Because it's kind of a large window considering how quickly it's gaining. But then the thing to keep in mind is that, again, in 2022, beginning of March of 2022, Jupiter is going to be in exact trine to the natal Jupiter and Mars. That's a big deal. That will set off some much more fundamental gain, a period of gain for this XYO. And then then what will happen is just later, but at the same time, it's important to note that, so that's March of 2022, beginning March of 2022, something serious gains can start then. But at the end of this December of this year, December 6th, something is going to shift for them, and they may have to start doing some very deep work into their, I don't know whether it's into their app or into their network. I'm not I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what that deep work will be, but I know it will have to do with their engineering and with their network. They'll have to do some very deep work. So I just wanted to note that. But see, even, like I said, I mean, it's kind of like if the price starts declining beginning of May, it doesn't mean that the price is going to like plummet, because we
May
have
just be a
another.
small pullback, or
Yeah, it can be a pullback, it could be a decline, but not a drop, because they have another period that's going to lift them up quite a bit, And other thing is they have, like, in May, mid-May, there's another, like, Pratyantartasha that also will give some kind of stimulus to them.
okay.
And so that's what I wanted to say.
I'm curious what.
And there's and farther ahead, there's also a good period. This is from 22nd of April until So this is 22nd of April of 2023 until May 1st of 2024. This is going to be a very prosperous period for this coin, because at this point, we're going to have Jupiter and Saturn both aspecting that natal Jupiter, who's in their 11th house. That's a big deal. So that's more of a long-term thing.
Yeah, because you had said that 11th house was the gains.
Yeah.
So looks like a bright future and some growth and development going on in that community. Andy, does that do those dates, or does that kind of make sense with what you're seeing as far as development in the project or the community?
One thing that stuck out is, a little bit of backtrack. They came out this past summer with XYO World Geo tokens, NFTs. So they have their own NFTs now. And they have a project in the works that is due out, I believe, in December, which will go to what Maya was saying about deep works. It's called LifeHash. And it will tie in to the XYO World NFTs, which will provide, I think, some staking benefits to the owners of these NFTs. So that really jumped out to me, because if this new project, LifeHash, is due out in December, and she says deep work within the network, that would sound like what you would have to do to add a whole new project, LifeHash, into compatibility with the XYO World NFTs. So that makes sense to me.
And also, and also with their liquidity, it's something also related to their liquidity. I don't know if maybe, like you say, while they're integrating those two things, there's something about the liquidity. So I don't know what it is, but
I'm going to take a stab in the dark that the liquidity you are mentioning probably goes to the gas fees, because XYO is an ERC20 token. So with the gas fees being ridiculously high right now, that's putting a big damper on, doing swaps and selling and changing the tokens on the markets. Plus, it put a pretty big kibosh on the NFT auctions for the XYO World NFTs. So there was a little mention of possibly doing something to ease that by year's end as well. So that might also be what she's referring to with the liquidity issue.
Yeah, Andy, I'm not technical at all, but I know that we talk about NFTs all the time, especially on my Monday show. Right now, that's kind of the hot deal. And a lot of people are using the Wax blockchain for NFTs, just because the fees are so much less. And then it also makes me think, so are any of these things possible to add or help the project, either moving to the Wax blockchain, or the solution that Matic has come up with to cut those fees on ETH? Would either of those be something?
Well, I don't know, because they're an SEC reporting company, so they can't share ideas or anything else, because that could be construed as insider information and run afoul of the SEC. But they did mention, which they probably were safe to do so, that working on something to ease or deal with the gas fees. So it could very well be that there's this idea, like you just mentioned, is already in the back of their minds, especially when they bring LifeHash out to public later in the year.
So with Maya saying all that deep work, that engineering, I mean, that's a significant change, not only the NFT project rolling out, but then if they're also, which we don't know this for any, this is just all of us guessing and coming up with solutions. If they've come up with some solution to either move to a different blockchain or have use something to help with those Ethereum gas fees, then those two things combined as well would be significant or deep work for the engineers or developers on that project. It's really interesting. Sorry, go ahead, Andy.
I said most definitely.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on something real quick that Maya had mentioned earlier about COIN. When they first came out with it's a DApp. When they first came out with that, you were actually geo-mining and being paid in XYO. But a lot of the early adapters were turning around and dumping their XYO in the market as soon as they could, which was the redemption period was every 2 weeks. And I was driving down the price of XYO.
Yes.
So
and that is something, it's good that they, sorry, go ahead.
So they developed COIN, a digital currency, which is strictly in the COIN app only, to create a separation or an air gap between the COIN app users, geomining data and getting paid for it, and the XYO token itself. And immediately it provides stability for the token on the markets.
Yeah, and it's good that they do that because they have the K2 in their second house, and that K2 and the nodal axis for them is not ideal. And since K2 is in the second house is liquidity again. So it's good that it's actually really good that they, dealt with that. And yeah, it's important. That's something that they'll have to pay attention to, this issue of liquidity. And like, for example, that example that you gave is an example of this K2 in action,
Okay.
So it's like when this period comes, that they're going to have to be doing some deep work, whatever it is, that liquidity thing and making sure that it's, which they are already on, they already have that, they're conscious of that, obviously. So that will be important. Just the way that liquidity works in their network, whether it's with the app or NFTs or however, but that's an important point.
Yeah, and it's very important to them on a personal level because many of them or all of them have received XYO tokens as part of their compensation package, like part of their work payment. So they're kind of dependent on XYO being successful just to realize the full compensation of their work over the past few years.
Yeah, it's clear they're very hard working.
Them as well.
I just think it's interesting that there's so much development going on with it. It's so much more than that, the first idea that we talked about with the GPS tracking with the X and Y location. Right. They're finding a lot of solutions in this space and really working hard to develop different things. SL, do you have any questions, or can you put some points to, I know you guys really look into these projects. What were some of the things that you really liked, or did you have any kind of flashes or information about what's going on XYO?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting how XYO spiked after I got the visions. So Maya said that XYO started running on March 19. And 6 days later, I read the company and I got the visions. And then after I got the vision, it has been running, has gone up a lot. So I'm curious, Maya, is that a coincidence or it is time for them to have a little bump up.
So March 13th, when the sun entered Pisces, at that same moment, what's interesting here is I think that it was the fact that sun entered Pisces, but at that same moment, Venus was in trine to the natal Mars and Jupiter. And see, that Jupiter and Venus have this parivartana yoga in the chart. So they share an interesting special relationship. So it's kind of like that moment activated that fact in their chart. But it's also because they're running the Venus Mahadasha, and the Jupiter Antardasha. So it's kind of like, basically, yes, it was a moment that was meant to be set off because the Dasha sequence and the transit were both were setting off the same thing, which is what makes things happen, So yeah, it was a very clear moment for them. Yeah.
Really interesting. These dates that are on the bottom of this chart that I brought up, I'm not going to even try to pronounce that. Are those significant dates? Do you use those to find?
Yes, yes. This I will answer that question, but I just want to mention it's important that see what's happening now with the price. It's not the same as what's going to happen starting March of 2022, beginning of March of 2022, because what's happening now is kind of like this nice little, just kind of a check mark, because the Dasha sequence is in play when this transit happened that just lightly touched that and then it set it off, right? But what's going to happen at the beginning of March is much more fundamental kind of growth, So that's why I say, like, depending on the person, if somebody has a more short-term desire for their holdings in this coin and they see that, oh, you know what, it's gone up a lot by I think I said May 1st, and that person says, hey, I'm going to cash out, I can totally understand that. Then if there's somebody else who says, I'm going to wait, or maybe do both, cash out some and then re-enter before March, that, or maybe better not cash out completely. Anyway, whatever somebody wants to do. The point is, I just want to point out that these are two different kind of things,
Okay.
Because what will happen,
events or episodes, they're not in the same.
Yes,
which maybe those development of the projects where they're talking about all this development, one maybe this affected by this development, and then the next development phase comes in, and really launches.
Yes, exactly. They're in two different categories of price gain, because and then yes, this is the Vimshotri Dasha sequence that is like the Mahadasha. They're like time frames that are determined by the position of the moon at the time of birth, and it just basically shows us which planets will be most influential. But you have to be an astrologer to be able to understand, how they'll be working.
Those dates. Okay. So those dates wouldn't apply with anything that the predictions or how you're timing things. No, we shouldn't be looking at that. That's like
the people who aren't astrologers. Well, I use it, and a lot of times in my reports I explain, like, it's because this Dasha sequence is happening, but I'm able to use it because you have to understand the essence of those planets, how they're functioning in the chart, and the essence of what each type of Dasha each level of the Dasha sequence is different too. So it's not so simple as saying, oh, there are these three planets and this planet is going over this planet, and that means, I don't know, whatever somebody would say. But the point is, so just that people should be cautious. Like, if they see that, or I'm mentioning it, it's there's a lot of insight that goes into using those that sequencing, basically. But it's not also necessary, there's other types of like Nadi astrology, or not using this Dasha sequence, or just looking at the transits when things are very obvious. If I don't have the exact time of birth, I'm still able to see a lot, but I do use it if I have it. Yes, absolutely.
That's really interesting. SL, you had some questions for Andrew about staking and coin. Can you kind of take that over?
Sure. Andrew, on the XYO Foundation's website, it lists that we can stake.
Yeah. So I looked at it every possible way that I could think of with my limited tech knowledge and abilities. And I asked one or two people, and I kept getting the same answer, that the staking takes place when you see the XYO world geotoken NFTs are being auctioned off. So when you place your bid, a portion of your bid of XYO, for example, I won one auction bid that I had placed at 63,000 XYO. A portion of that gets burned, so that's written into the program, the blockchain or the smart contract for each individual NFT geotoken. Is a portion is burned off. A portion goes into the originator geotoken, which is the FHR, founding holder registry, and it's the single geotoken of the whole world. Another portion gets paid to whoever had bid before you, because they get their bid returned to them if you outbid them. And a final portion stays within the smart contract of the geotoken that you won the auction for. And from what I could gather, that then becomes the stake. Now, as far as what return you get from that, I haven't been able to find any information regarding how that will be returned as far as value to the owners. I did see something alluding to information to come out about that within the next quarter, but as to what, only we can speculate what that would be.
Oh, I see. So this staking reward is different than, for example, theta staking, where you stake theta, you get T-Fuel, or else Matic. If you stake Matic, then you get free, Matic after a few days. So this staking program, reward program, is different than some other projects.
I would love to say yes, because I know what they're doing, but I don't know what they're doing. So I don't know yet, because like I said, they alluded to new information specifically about that to come out within the next quarter, but that's about it. Because the parent company is a SEC reporting company, they can't just give out these ideas of that nature without running afoul of the SEC. So they play everything very close to the vest, which does tend to upset some of the members. But again, they don't want to become like XRP Ripple and have the SEC, start going through every single paper in their file cabinet.
I understand. Yeah. There's something that I like about the XYO projects. They have an app called COIN app that we can download from the Apple Store, and then when people commute, if they leave the app on, they can earn reward, and then they can convert that into XYO crypto, and then if they want to share, hold it to increase the value, or else they can sell for a profit. Can you explain that to the audience?
Yes, they have. Okay, let me just start with the basic premise. A quick little overview. You're running the COIN app. You are geo-mining data location, and they are paying you for that data in coin. And once, if you're a brand new user, your first redemption quantity is 10,000 coin, and there's no gas fee. and that'll be converted to approximately $5 worth of XYO. And then after that, the minimum jumps up to 50,000 coin. And there is a gas fee then of roughly 15 to 20% because of the spike in the gas fees. Beforehand, the company was paying all the gas fees. But now that it's expensive, the user has to, pay some of that as well. So anyways, to help reduce people from redeeming and then dumping it on the market, they created this HODL reward program, which is sort of like staking as far as the common idea. So you you can hold the coin and get HODL rewards for the coin part in your COIN app. If you have a connected ERC20 wallet connected to the COIN app and verified, you will also generate HODL rewards based on the XYO you hold in your connected ERC20 wallet. And it's to incentivize you to not turn around and dump it on the market.
Mm-hmm. And you said that this app doesn't track our personal data. They only track the locations.
Yes. So it is only tracking the location of the device, be it the Sentinel or your phone. But there's no PII attached to it. It only knows that this particular device was right here, right now, at this point in time. And that's that. Just the location data only, not the user or anything else of that nature.
That's great because that's less invasive technology than Facebook.
Right. Because that was one of the things with the original premise of the XYO Oracle and all that, was to make the data specifically about the geolocation only.
So then, with this technology on the website, they said that they can actually locate missing people. Can they do that, or what kind of what's the use case like?
Well,
use case for this?
Yes and no. If these people had a device on them that was connected to the network, then yes. But if you don't have a device that's connected to the network, then no. And that kind of goes towards the separation between the geolocation data and the individual's information.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we don't want people to get the idea that, well, they're tracking me. No, they're not tracking you. They're tracking a device that might happen to be in your pocket, but it's only tracking that device. They don't know that it's you.
Okay.
Is there a way to turn the device off? Like, I'm just thinking about when she was just saying, to find people, I think about all the missing children that go missing. Is there a way to have, maybe when the parent puts the child on the bus, I'm able to turn the device on and it tracks my child. But then when we get off the bus, we turn it off so that we do have that privacy of our home. Is that something that's possible?
It's only tracking the location of the device. It's not tracking who the person is. So the the data being collected has no idea.
Oh, they wouldn't be able to identify it with a person because they don't know who has each device.
Exactly.
And that's not part of the process. How do they do that with the packages then? How do they identify that device with a certain package that's going to a certain location?
That would be written in the smart contract.
Okay, so at the time of the smart contract being created, then that information of the location and maybe not who, but at least the address or the location where it was supposed to be delivered to would be entered.
Right. Now, there's one thing we didn't get into is what they call a electronic handshake. That is when two devices in the network, I'm doing air quotes here, see each other. They create an electronic handshake, which is data verification. So that's how they would verify the package got to where it was supposed to be, because a device with the package saw and did the electronic handshake with a device in the home. And when that data location verification happens, it would execute the smart contract, generating the payment for the vendor, and that's ending the contract of the purchase of the item.
So there was a project called Bravo that used a beacon similar to what you're talking about, this handshake, where you could walk up with your Bravo app and there would be a beacon at a location, and then you would be rewarded for doing that electronic handshake. And we like to know about our privacy. So how does somebody receive a beacon or a device that would how much information would they have to give to receive the beacon or the device that throws off the electronic handshake? Or can that be something they already have that's their private information or device that would still connect or make that handshake with?
Okay, I'm going to try to answer your question the best way that I know how. I'll just use myself for an example. I have about a dozen and a half of these Sentinels because I ordered 2 of the geomining kits back in 2018. The company has no idea that I own the specific ones that I own.
Okay.
They are connected to my account because I connected them to my account. So through
but the Sentinels go out kind of blind, and then you activate them, so the company doesn't know. They just know they sent them out, but they don't know to what location or whose account that was associated with.
Right.
Okay.
And then I associated with my account as user once I got them. So the data that they collect comes to my device, which is my phone. Then from there, the data goes into the network. So it's not like it's hard to explain with not knowing the technical details and knowledge to really explain it. But
I think you've done a great job. I mean, it sounds like a really exciting project, and I love all the development that they're doing towards. I mean, everything from.
Well,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
They have a ton of partnerships as well with brick and mortar companies and with other crypto projects. I think Chainlink was one of the ones they had announced previously, and I think DSLA is one of their more recent partnerships with other cryptos.
Interesting. Yeah, here's a whole list. I hope you guys are seeing this.
Yeah. I just saw Chainlink.
I believe you're seeing this. Yeah, Chainlink, Microsoft, Realtor or Remax, FedEx, of course, Harmony, and I think DSL was another one that SL369 had mentioned.
Yes.
Stactical.
I'm sorry, what was it? Stactical?
Stactical is the DSLA. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's DSLA. So yeah,
Okay,
exciting.
so there it is.
Partnerships there too. Really interesting. SL, do you have any other questions for Andrew or any other nuggets? Should we do like a quick wrap up on prices maybe this year into by end of year or something? Or what would be the best way to end this with some great information?
Yeah, I hope that by sometime this summer we can see like 1 penny. I hope that, and then move up from there a few penny by the end of the year. I mean, the 27 cents, I haven't got the timeline for that. I hope that is this year. That'd be really awesome. It would like we had 27 cents. We in the bull market. However, XYO is a smaller project, and right now every cryptocurrency is basically making 50% gain every day. So there's competitions. People have to invest. They have to figure out which project is the best for them to invest. But for me, this is a long-term project. I will hold for a few years, and then I hope that they will have further development and more partnership.
Definitely.
Can I speak to that real quick?
Sure.
Historically, XYO has not followed the bull market trends. Reason being is it's a utility token. It's not a currency. So a lot of the real value, which will come, I guess, as the ladies have explained, the real value will come when the usage, the utility of the token starts to come into play. So for anyone that's going to watch this information later, please keep in mind it's a utility token, and the value will come in the usage.
Awesome.
I just
Absolutely.
wanted to
Yeah.
get that out there.
That is very important. Really appreciate you clarifying that for us all. Shining Bull, do you want to
Thank
give
you.
us kind of your last thoughts on XYO and tell people where they can find you?
Oh, yes. They can find me on my Telegram channel, which I'm just gonna verify out of what the but yeah, they can find me on my Telegram channel, which is t.me/Shining Bull Astrology. It's again t.me/Shining Bull Astrology, and there they'll see like some updates, and it's good to get on there. Then about XYO, I just want to say, like, I also noticed that today it's long-term stuff. I've already, I think, covered everything, but I noticed like today it's losing value, and I just find it interesting that today the moon has been transiting their natal Ketu, which I spoke about. So I'll be interested to see tomorrow what happens, because moon will enter Aquarius where Jupiter is. So it's like an interesting thing to see how that affects the price. That's like just like right now, basically. But other than that, I don't think I have anything to add.
Well, I really appreciate all the information that you've given. And like I said, you ladies do a lot of work looking into these projects, not just with your gifts, but also with the technology and the use case. And this one is really interesting with the utility token value that Andy spoke of, that will be implemented. And then these other opportunities like the COIN app for staking. So I'm excited about all of that. SL, can you tell everybody kind of your final thoughts and where we can find you?
Yes, they can find me on my Telegram. I have a public channel. I post a couple times on my Telegram, and also on my Twitter as well. Twitter is where people can communicate with me publicly. And then I have a paid channel where people can subscribe and get almost daily prediction for me, and they can ask me questions as well.
Absolutely. And you've got great communication with all of your community there. So that's always a great thing to do. So you guys, Andrew, do you have any other last final kind of quotes or information, your thoughts on the development of XYO?
Yeah. For those that actually are going to dig into the information that's available, look at the past couple of years. There was an awful lot of hype in the beginning that spoke of going to Mars, and that level of wishful thinking or what have you. Don't take it with a grain of salt, because they had to really do a big change of direction just to survive the crypto winter. So just be aware that what was out there, say 2018 and early 2019, is not necessarily the same direction that the company's been going for the last 2 years.
Yeah,
so just be open minded.
I think that's great. I actually think that is a strength of the XYO community and the development, is that they can pivot and see what the needs. They're listening to the market and providing solutions. So I think that's a very positive thing.
And the fact that they survived crypto winter and have managed to continue to develop during that whole time frame, it speaks volumes to what is possible.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Definitely. Well, thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate your patience, and we'll get this video out, get this information out to the people. I have so much respect for you, Maya, and for you, SL369, that you do this work and you receive this information, and you want to get it out to the people and share with everybody. So we're gonna keep on keeping on. You guys look for us on decentralized platforms. We're going to find solutions, and we're going to build community and build it stronger with you. So we'll see you guys next time on The New Normal.